How on earth does this happen? Stay tuned to find out. So Monday morning, we started off in Zagora at Himi's fabulous camping palmery de Amzaru, the wonderful campsite that we by then spent, I don't know, 5 or 6 nights at, enjoying his mixed grill and, crucially, enjoying the swimming pool. After our adventures last week of getting beached in the desert on top of a sand dune, we decided we had had plenty enough sand to last us for a good wee while, and we decided to get the hell out of Dodge. Not least because it was already 40 degrees and the temperature was only predicted to go up. Really, 40 plus degrees, for the same reason we decided not to go down to Mauritania. It's just not good for little ones and furry ones. So we set off from the desert out to the Atlas Mountains, and that is where we are now. You can see Africa's, or North Africa's, highest mountain behind me. This is Toubkal. But before we got here, we made a stop at Ait Benhaddou. Ait Benhaddou may be famous to those of you that are film buffs because it is the location for many, many filming sets. From Gladiator, probably put that one out there first, Aladdin the 40 Thieves, The Man Who Would Be King, Prince of Persia, I think, and Game of Thrones. Not that Jess or I have ever watched a single episode of Game of Thrones, but we're told it's very good. It's also famous, more than it being a filming location, because it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is actually an old Kasar, which is a fortified town on the old caravan route for the trading routes down into the Sahara. And it is very well preserved. It shows phenomenal workmanship, but also just the way that they built their properties, these kind of clay-built, mud-built properties. And it's really interesting and really worth visiting. We were, strangely enough, lucky, I guess, that we visited during a public holiday, so it was basically empty. It didn't mean that not much was open, but it meant that we mostly had the place to ourselves. We parked in the centre of town. If you look on Park for Night or iOverlander, you will find a listed spot. It is right in the middle of town. It's about a 10-minute walk down into the riverbed. There's a couple of shops there, but it's just super convenient if you want to visit that Ait Benhaddou location. From there, we set off and we went up the P1506. Please, if you are in Morocco, go and drive that P1506 road. Go past Telouet. It's just a stunning, stunning drive. And at the top of it, you join Tizi and Tichka, which is another spectacular drive. In fact, it is North Africa's highest mountain pass road, I think, at about 2,600 meters. Now, it has been relayed, so any pictures you go and find online, we see those exceptional switchbacks. They don't really exist anymore. There are switchbacks, but they're not quite as closely packed as they were, so don't go expecting that, but it is still 100% worth the drive. So we are up on the top of the switchbacks of Tizi and Tichka, having come up the P1506 from Ait Benhaddou and past Telouet. And I mean, just what kind of a view is this? This is absolutely incredible. These high Atlas mountains. Obviously, there's a lot of tourist stuff here. It's a big tourist honeypot. And we just got done for some crystals, of course. But I didn't get quite as ripped off this time as when I bought that watermelon a month or so ago. I've learnt he started at 250 dirhams. So I got out with 2 geodes for 70 dirhams. After we'd completed that, we found ourselves just outside a place called Zerkten, which I think probably lives in my mind as the least Moroccan sounding town name I've heard. And again, we'd found a spot on Park for Night and iOverlander, but we didn't really think we were going to fit there, so we explored a little bit more up the track and came across a beautiful flat area that we could park for the night and have some stunning views into the Atlas Mountains. When we woke in the morning, we were gently, comically chastised by a farmer on a donkey who sidled on up to us, saw Otis sitting in a bed, pointed at him, pointed at the bed, queried in his limited French and our limited understanding of French as to whether our dog actually had a bed or whether he was just using something that we used for something else, and then sat there chuckling at us. Couldn't wrap his head around the idea that the dog might actually have a bed. Yes, Otis, you are one pampered prince wherever you are, somewhere around behind me. We left there and then we found our way through the Urika Valley, another beautiful drive. Side note, this part of Morocco is jam-packed full of beautiful drives and incredible mountain passes, up to where we are now, which is Oukaimeden. Oukaimeden. Hell, I'm just going to write it here and you can try and pronounce it yourself. There's an ancient town, which is no longer used. There's a new town because it's a ski resort. There is also an observatory, a Trappist observatory, and it's one of a pair. Its pair sibling is located down in Chile. So this is the northern one, the Chilean one is the southern one, and they combine to look deep into space. And the other thing that this area has going for it is that right behind me. That is Tichka, that is the tallest mountain in North Africa, and the views are spectacular. And even better, it is no longer 40 degrees, it's about, I don't know, 25, 26 degrees. It's so beautiful here, in fact, that we have decided for the first time in Morocco that we're having a barbecue tonight. We've got some beef skewers that Jess has prepared, and we're going to roast them on the barbecue with this as a backdrop. Does life get any better than that?
On the road with a toddler. We get asked quite a few questions around what's it like travelling with a toddler. A really good example of this was yesterday. Both Isla and I woke up and we just didn't feel great. I think we've caught a bug from somewhere, we've got a cold. How we've got a cold from 30+ degree heat, I have no idea, but that's life and these things happen. We'd already decided that we were going to put in a really long day of driving, just to, in all honesty, get away from the heat. So we headed off towards the Atlas Mountains. As we were driving, Isla wasn't feeling great, and she then actually deteriorated a little bit and spiked a temperature. So we just pulled over onto the side of the road and nipped in the back and grabbed some of the medicine that we have for her. So we always carry a really good stockpile of kiddies medicine and a really good first aid kit. So we dosed her up with some medicine and continued on. Now we also thought it was a really good idea to drive because the day before we'd had an explore of Ait Benhaddou. For us, it's challenging in the heat sometimes, and for her too, but she did a great job with it. But we think her little legs were just a bit exhausted because that night she woke up with quite bad leg pain, so muscle pain we think. She's had it before a few times when we've done some good days of walking. So again, we just give her a bit of a massage, gave her some medicine, that seemed to do the trick and she fell back to sleep. But as I said, both woke up feeling a bit rough. So driving was a great idea yesterday because it meant that we could keep her cool and contained in the cab as we drove because we've got a really good air conditioning system. And it also meant that we could play some games, she could have her tablet for a little bit and just basically keep her calm and resting. One of the massively positive things about having Bibi and the way that we have her set up is that when you do need to change your day and juggle things around a bit because one of you doesn't feel well or plans just need to change, you can do that. You can literally just stop and your home is there with you. You have everything. And that is one of the things that makes traveling with a toddler on the road a lot easier because you can be flexible.
We are out of the desert and we are in the Atlas Mountains. I'm trying to find some shots to take for sunset and also recce some potential locations for sunset tomorrow and sunrise tomorrow morning because our current plan is that we are going to stay here tomorrow as well. Let Jess and Isla have a bit of a rest. Neither of them are feeling that great. We drove today to give them a little bit of a rest, but we'll see how they are in the morning. But I think for now, our plan is to stay here because it's so beautiful. So beautiful and just so different to where we've been. Okay, so how did that bonkers picture of a kestrel in front of BB come about? Well, first things first, it was a complete fluke. I did not plan it, I didn't set out to get it, I didn't even consider it. So far out there was it. What actually happened was I had this Insta360 1x3, which is a 360 camera, so VR, shoots all the way around. We use it for time lapses, we use it when we're driving, we use it to create that kind of drone view, and we're going to talk more about that in a future video. But I'd set it up here on the roof rack on BB in the hope of capturing a nice 360 time lapse of sunrise while I'd gone off up the mountain to go and shoot some stills. Got back, didn't think anything of it, took the camera down, downloaded it, was flicking through. All of a sudden I saw tail feathers all wrapped around the lens. Seemed very odd. Now what you've got to remember is that this was taking a picture as a time lapse every 2 seconds. So there's a picture, every 2 seconds, bang, it snaps a picture, and it snaps a picture all the way around. I thought, that's odd. So I went back through the video frame by frame, 2 second by 2 second by 2 second, and found that completely by chance, it happened to capture that picture just as the kestrel flared its wings to come in and land, because it landed on top of the camera and decided to use it as a perch. So yeah, Insta360, if you're listening, kestrels like your cameras to perch on. And that's really it for this week.
Hang on 1 minute. I'm just going to cut in here before Dave takes over and wraps it up for this week. I'm going to let you in on a little secret that not even Dave is aware of. Last time I was in Marrakesh, I was that terrified of everybody else's driving that I had to get out of the car and walk. So let's hope that this time it's a different story. Hit that subscribe button and tune in next week to see how we got on.
It has been another action-packed week, one where we've also got to see Isla progress so much in the swimming pool as she did on Monday. She'd had a couple of days in that swimming pool while we were there, and each day she just got better and better. And honestly, living our life this way, spending time as a family and being able to watch Isla grow and develop day by day and experience the world with us, probably just the best reason for doing this. So join us next week and see what we get up to.
Bitey, bitey. There's always something that's going to bite you. Always. Normally it's life.
It's nice. Here we go, Mummy's gonna. You hold that one, don't drop it.
Why? Oh.
Fucking hell, finally.